So what I'm going to do here is add external fuel. The theory is if I add fuel, it should go through the engine, the oxygen sensor should see it and start reporting it rich. So I've opened up my propane tank, and it's on a regulated wand here so that I can inject this propane. I'm going to take my vacuum off and seal that up. Now, when I open my propane, you ought to be able to see that on the scanner. So you can see our oxygen sensors are reporting very lean, and the fuel trim, they're not adding any fuel. So I'm going to open up the propane now. And you can see the oxygen sensors immediately reported rich. They went from very lean. Now look, I'm 900 millivolts on both sensors. I'm very, very rich. But look what happened to short-term fuel trim. Nothing. It's still zero. Even though I'm very rich, the computer is not trying to balance fuel and add fuel. Now I'm going to go lean again. Watch the O2s and the short term. So I took my propane away. My O2s went lean again. Now I'm down to 100 millivolts, but the short term did nothing. So I just proved my oxygen sensors are not lying to me because I can force them lean and rich. The computer should adjust to that because that means the fuel going into the engine, the computer should read the O2s and try and balance fuel. It's doing nothing. The short term and the long term on both banks of the engine are doing nothing. Now computers are logic devices. They are not sensor inputs, and they are not output devices or actuators. They simply get data, calculate, and do things. In this case, the computer was not doing its job. Now, do you remember earlier when I was testing vacuum? The needle was firm and fixed. It was not bouncing. So that told me I don't have a mechanical valve problem, but my reading was low. So why was my vacuum reading lower? What could make vacuum read low if the needle was steady? If the timing was off, it could affect vacuum. Now another thing to consider here is timing. What if the timing was off? Well, first off, that would show up in a bouncing vacuum needle. But let's go ahead and prove that the timing's on track. So this has two cam sensors, one on each bank of the engine. So I'm going to hook the lab scope up and look at the cam sensors and see if they're in time. So on my lab scope, I have two traces, yellow and green. One is the cam sensor on one bank, and the other is the cam sensor on the other bank. Now as you can see, they both look identical, but what I want to do is line these up and see if they're totally synced. So I'm going to move the yellow one up and put it right on top of the green one. Now if you look at it, they're identical. They're both peaking at the same time. So our cam timing is right on the money.